Okay, hey there, everyone. Bobby D here with Virtual Event Fundraising. I'm so excited to have this group of masterminds together. I have McKenzie with the Cancer Support Community of Phoenix, Arizona. I have Jarrett Ransom, the nonprofit nerd with the Rayvan Group, and then David Twigger with Vermillion Events here in Phoenix as well. And all four of us have definitely been impacted by what we're calling the new normal. So we're going to have a conversation about, okay, now what? So I just want to, I'm going to kind of go right to McKenzie on this. McKenzie, so there we go. Tell us how you're doing. Just checking in with, you and, getting this news that we're going to have this kind of nationwide shutdown for 2 to 4, 6 weeks. I don't know. And within your nonprofit, tell us how that's affecting you, your organization.
Thank you. So I am the Director of Strategic Communications for Cancer Support Community Arizona. And, compared to many nonprofits, we have a $1 million plus annual operating budget, and we do have savings and some, other areas. However, there's a tremendous pivot and shift that's going on inside of the organization that we're serving. And our gala, like many, it's gala season is, 3 weeks away. It is, it's not as scary yet, because I think everybody's just in mode to just deliver because nothing is stopping. I think that's what a lot of people in the community need to understand, is that just because we are potentially as staff members working from home and maybe our services aren't as direct, most nonprofits are still needing to figure out how they're going to operate and provide support to the most vulnerable in our community. So it's been some full days for sure.
Wow. Whew, I can't even imagine. Wow. Okay. Jarrett, how about you? I mean, you've got your finger on the nonprofit pulse. I mean, how, what are you seeing, within that? How are nonprofits reacting to this? And what's the word on the nonprofit street?
Yeah, it's been interesting, and thanks for creating this platform for all of us to share and to be a resource. The new normal is real. It is here. I work nationwide with nonprofits and work with several different service lines. One, I'm an interim executive director. I also do a lot of strategic planning, board retreats, facilitation. One of my clients is actually in the assisted living field, and this hit them, the severity of it, I should say, much harder and faster than it did me. And then one of the organizations where I'm actually serving as interim executive director, it is a hygiene mission focused organization. So McKenzie hit the nail on the head. Nonprofits now, they're on the front line, right? Like many organizations are on the front line and they're not stopping. In fact, they're increasing their hours, they're increasing their product now more than ever. They really need that support, the contributions. And what I think is very interesting to share is nonprofits, their focus is on what they do, right? Like they exist to provide a solution to a community-based problem. They're not crisis communication public relation experts. So this is not something that nonprofits have even put a lot of thought in. Some larger nonprofits maybe, but there's 1.8, I think, nonprofits, 1.8 million nonprofits in the US, and they're not all sophisticated and savvy, especially when it comes to crisis communication or logistics or working from home. So this impact has definitely hit them. So the new normal, be it virtual or remote, or how you might be able to serve and continue to deliver your mission is really critical.
All right. Excellent. All right. So now, David, you are an event planner and you do a lot of nonprofit events, and all of a sudden this CDC thing comes out, and guess what? You can't have any more events. So now what, David?
Great question, Bobby. Thanks for having me. Again, my name is David Twigger. I'm creative director and founder of Vermillion Events. We do all kinds of meetings and events from small, like 50-person meetings, all the way up to large galas and conferences. And we've definitely been affected heavily with what's going on. It started, several weeks ago with people not wanting to travel, and the the thought of not being able to do this. So then you saw it grow into conferences, trade shows, have all been canceled for about the next 2 or 3 months. And then as we continue on, it's just going to continue with those reschedules and stuff. So as an event planner, what we're trying to do is really help work with everybody, you know, our vendors and suppliers and our clients, especially our nonprofits, because again, like she said, they have a focus of what they need to do, and that needs to continue. So we're there to try and help with either a reschedule or what we call refocus of the events. Is it something that we can do? Are there smaller things that we can do? Can we help with an online or virtual event, or, you know, a platform where they can reach out, email? I have a nonprofit that's going to start a new email program because they hadn't really done that before, except for basic communication, to see if maybe they can get in front of their donors, because they did postpone their event to later in the year, but they simply can't survive without some sort of that funding. So although my industry, as far as planners, has been involved and affected severely, we're trying to turn it around and really create some opportunities and solutions for everybody.
Yeah, wow, that's mind blowing of how that, like we were talking earlier, this giant boulder that gets dropped in the lake and the ripple effect that this is really, you know, streaming across. And you know, like Jarrett, like you were saying, that nonprofits are, you know, their product is a solution. Their product is impact in a community, and the ripple effect to affect the fundraising, which is going to directly affect the programs, which are going to be much more needed on so many ways here in the next 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 weeks, as this kind of reality starts to set in. So yeah, it's crazy how this is all just kind of crossed in together. For me, in my world, you know, yes, I'm a live fundraiser. I'm an auctioneer. I mean, 60% of my income comes from being on stage at galas, and now no galas. So now what? And that's my, like, every day I wake up and I'm like, okay, so now what? It's like, okay, I could be super negative and be like, oh, you know, what was me? I don't get to do events. Or it's like, no, let's turn that around. Let's be positive. Let's create conversations. And now I'm trying to position myself as a virtual event fundraising expert of how to maximize these and evolve these. And David, you said it absolutely the best. It's like, are we going to reschedule or are we going to refocus? And I love that. I'm totally stealing that from you, if that's okay. I'll give you $1 every time I use it. But I think it's it's so necessary for especially the clients I'm working with and the conversations that I'm hearing from nonprofits is, you know, I mean, now what? Are we going to do the event? Are we not going to do the event? We need to have the money. How are we going to get that money in? And then how are we, you know, the big V word, virtual. What does that even mean? So McKenzie, I'm gonna throw it to you real quick, and you had a really good explanation of kind of how to present that, especially for the nonprofit world.
You know, piggybacking on what Jarrett said about 1.2 million nonprofits, 80%, 85% of these nonprofits have an operating budget of $250,000 or under, with 1, maybe 2 staff. So they are really often just equipped to deliver what they're, you know, providing mission wise, and that's really honestly it. So when you have volunteers and, you know, organizations that rely on them and they're not around anymore, it's a ripple down effect. But when you think about the narrative of the communication, so, you know, at Cancer Support Community Arizona, we sent out an email on Friday letting our, you know, gala supporters know that we are not hosting our gala on April 4th in person, and in fact we use the word pivot, and doing what we call virtual experience. They were very confused. The word virtual, the word experience, the word pivot, all this jargon. And I literally had a donor say, that's fine, but I had to read this email, work for it to understand what this means. And I don't know, are you canceling? Like, what? I know you're not trying to say cancel. And I think that's something like we need to think about, like, be very clear when you're communicating to your community what your goals are, why you are no longer having that event, and what the event is. Like fancy academic words. Go ahead.
What was your goal to have that virtual experience? Like, talk to us about like what actually that was going to be. I'm really curious.
Well, we weren't sure at the time, so we kind of were vague. We were kind of vague on purpose because we were like, hey, we have to respond, and we're not really sure yet. We're going to have this virtual experience, and we were intentionally being general enough, but it caused a little confusion, and people were like, wait, I don't understand. Are you or are you not canceling this? What's happening? So I think when you need a little bit of buffer room to say, if this email seems confusing, bear with us because we're figuring it out too. More to come on Tuesday at 2 p.m. or something just really clear. And if possible, pick up the phone, like literally pick up to even your highest level communicators, your highest level funders. I think that's the one thing that we learned from this was being very, 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 very clear about what you're doing and what you're trying to do, so that your funders and your supporters can actually help.
Wow. That's, I mean, yeah, I think that's a huge, value takeaway from all of this is you need to be super clear because we are dealing with generational funders and donors, within all of this. And yeah, there's that, millennial, Zennial, Gen Xer that's like, oh yeah, no, I'll just pop out my phone, we'll turn on the video, no big deal, we got this. But then there is, the next generation, we got our boomers, we have our, our elder generation, and they're like, what
am I going? Do I need to return my suit or do I not? Like, I just need to know.
what do I do? So now it's like, okay, how do you, how can you engage, all the levels through that? So Jarrett, now for you, you really specialize in all the aspects of fundraising, but beyond the event. How could a organization take this new virtual event and then, I love McKenzie's word with the pivot, how can they take this virtual event and pivot that to enhance or diversify their other fundraising, components within that?
So I'm going to add some humor to this and include my nonprofit nerd glasses. Oh, do you have some tape on that? Because you should.
I should, right? Quick, give me tape.
You should, right? Gosh, I think we could all just piggyback on each other throughout this entire conversation because we are attracting, stewarding, cultivating relationships at all generational levels. And I literally was helping a client that some of their constituencies didn't even know how to register online. Mm-hmm. So that's a whole, another ball of wax when it comes to how are we communicating this message. But absolutely, diversification of your revenue is critical. We were talking offline about, when you look at your operating budget for a nonprofit, and McKenzie shared, a lot of nonprofits are under $250K operating. So many of these organizations, they don't have a lot of diversification. They depend on the event themselves, right? And we were talking offline, Bobby, with one of your clients about if they don't have this event, that could literally put the nail in the coffin because they rely so heavily on this event revenue. And so when I work with my clients, it's always about revenue diversification, because when I started my business, it's almost 11 years ago now, 2009, it was really about grant writing. And I was with an organization during the economic crisis, 2007, 8, 9, laid off in 2009, that was largely government funded from grant revenue, which we learned then that is not the safest place, right? You have all of your eggs in one basket. So you really have to diversify your revenue. And that looks by way of individuals and major giving. It looks by way of events and grants. And, also the other thing is, how do you activate your board? How do you activate your board in a time like this that's required a pivot? We didn't ask for this pivot came to us. So whether you're ready to pivot or not, you have to do it. And, a lot of this too is coming by way of top-down leadership, political top-down leadership, even by way of mandate. I saw an earlier post that, it's no longer 50 people or less, it's 10 people or less. So when it looks at this virtual landscape, you guys, Bobby and David, you were talking about how you did an auction in 3 different states. But how do we communicate with that with our different demographics? And how do I, as a strategic planning expert and board facilitator, how do I express the importance of revenue diversification and not rely so heavily on that one moneymaker? Because that one moneymaker could be pulled out tomorrow. Case in point, what's happening now across the nation.
And it did.
It
Literally,
did.
the rug has been pulled out, and it's like, okay, so now what? So
Now
David,
what?
now I want to ask you now. Events disappear. Like, what does the future, like, what does the near future look like in regards of events, and where, like, what is this new normal? What is, what can a nonprofit do to still create that sense of community, create that experience? But then now we've got to look forward, within that.
Right, and it's the interesting thing is it's changed like by the week. When this first started, there were discussions of what it could do as far as travel and what it could do as far as the near future, then the extended future, and now we're like the uncertain future. To where we're trying to balance, like, okay, we can move this to where we need to reschedule this to where eventually we're going to run out of space in the fall when everybody's like, well, we'll just reschedule for the fall kind of thing. So the hard part is every single week it's changing to where I thought, okay, we're going to go ahead and we can move some of these to the fall to where there's not enough space or we can't find dates to the fall or we can't survive to the fall, to we need to figure out exactly like ways to help our clients, have like the events. If we can't have the events, what other ways can we do this? And so I sat down with some of the nonprofits I work with closely, and if we can't do the events, what can we do for them? And we use that virtual word and says, can we go ahead and do this? A few of them were afraid to reach out because they think it was in poor taste. But as McKenzie said, it's like, and Jarrett, they have a service that they have to provide. So don't think that because you're reaching out more than you normally would, asking for this at a time where people are actually hurting, you have that service to give. So I think it's more than fine to go ahead and do that. We're trying to go ahead and work with people as far as if they still want to have these events, do we want to have more than one? Can we do smaller events? So possibly when this new normal kind of eases and changes and morphs into another normal, we can actually have one that's, for a lunch or different donors and different times, because we have different demographics. Some of the demographics don't want that change. They're used to the gala, they're used to gala season, they're used to those. Like, I want to go, they go, they get to network, they see their friends, they raise their paddle, they feel really great, and they get to go home. And if we take that away, they're not really sure what they're going to do. So we're trying to balance that out right now. I'm trying to work with people to make sure that if we cannot do the events, you need to make sure that your communication, like McKenzie said, is very, very clear, but it also needs to be very, very simple. If you want them to donate, make sure that your website is easy to get to that donate place. Make sure your links work. Make sure you've got a thank yous that work. And so people are going back and having their staff look at those ideas, look at social media to where they can actually utilize those areas. I'd like to have a magic formula to where, yes, we can go ahead and have these events. To be honest, because we don't have a clear message, this could clear up in the next month. And then it'll be a mad dash for everybody to have an event, or it could last a few months. As I mentioned before, right now what I've seen in the industry is everything is pretty much gone and canceled through April. May is just starting. Each week that we go through, you'll have more and more events in May just start canceling, which we don't like to use that word. We can refocus or whatever the word is, but
Reschedule.
It'll reschedule. But I just had a call with, a client in June, and she's like, what do we need to start doing? And I had to reach out to the hotel and be like, what are our options? And she's like, it's this whole sliding scale of, it depends on when it starts to clear up of when you can move. But if you move, are we going to have the dates kind of thing? So it's to work with your planners. I can, the little plug for planners is to make sure we're here to help, not just for one piece of it. We can help with different pieces, and make sure that, we're great at creating the events, but we can actually talk to hotels, talk to venues, talk to vendors and suppliers of the best way to do this so we can try and create something that works.
Right. I like that, tapping into your professional, network, or the professionals that you invest into. I mean, you invest in a consultant, you invest in communications team, you invest in a planner, and invest an auctioneer or a fundraiser, and to really, like, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for guidance, and like, okay, what do I do? Nonprofits are really good at providing that service, but they're not really good at fundraising or planning events. So it's like, how, reach out into that network. And I mean, and David, your event planner, colleagues, do you provide that value service? Because how many of nonprofits are like, oh my, I'm on the hook for how much if I cancel this event, or we have to cancel catering, we have to do, I don't even know where to even start. But then to have someone like you, David, in the industry that can, like, okay, here, we'll have the conversations, or we'll tell you what to say, we'll give you the things and how we're going to work on this. And you're right, the hotels, the caterers, the photographers, the printers, everybody is impacted by this, and we need to come together right now at this time to support each other, and to really just be like, okay, we're in this together, and that's how we're going to do it to get out.
Yeah, and it's coming through that way. It's interesting to put it out there. When this first started to happen, we've seen, those of us who are old enough have seen similar situations with different events that have happened, and it takes a little bit because they're not quite sure. So some parts of the industry are very flexible right off the bat, and some take a little nudging. But the nonprofits, again, like they really have a say, because people like to work with them. So they need to speak up and make sure they work with everybody that they have, and use those people that they have the relationships with. Because, like, I forget, it was like McKenzie or Jarrett said, like, some of them have, like two of the ones that I know right off the bat, they have 2 staff members, and that's it. They don't have the ideas and things to go ahead and run through with the different people.
Right on. Mm-hmm. All right, McKenzie, I'd like to ask you now, so where you had put out the initial communications of, we're going to have this virtual event, this virtual experience, and not knowing what it was, where are you at? I mean, you're about 2 weeks out, kind of, if you can give us a idea of what your virtual event outline might be looking like, kind of what tools or kind of strategies that you're using to pick that April 4th date and saying, this is what we're doing.
Yes, thank you. So we have, like many nonprofits or any event, we had a pre-event fundraising goal, and then we have a night of post-event fundraising goal. So we've met our pre-event fundraising goal, which is great. And now it's like, okay, so we have about $60,000 that we really need to raise, and that we knew we would successfully fulfill at the event itself. And now with that, we still have to be mindful, like, that is what our operational budget is reliant on, and all of our mission and programs and experiences are based on that revenue coming in. So what we've done is we've spoken with an online virtual company that we already actually have a partnership with to do text giving, and we can upgrade our system to include some online virtual auctions and raffle, situations. So our special events manager got on the phone today with that company and had a deep dive about what they can provide. Do we need to upgrade our software, our system, and what that looks like or not? So that was the first thing we did, was we had a healthy conversation about, what does this cost us? How much time is it going to take? And are we even set up to do an online bidding experience? I got to stop using that word. Bid. So the next thing is the messaging. Like, we've got to communicate out publicly and close that loop. We've been marketing this event, not just people that have responded, but everybody else in our database and our social media. So we need to be really clear about that. And how are we going to ask people to support? So right now, the next step is tomorrow we're going to have a full 2-hour check-in and really create a really thorough marketing and communications plan that includes our website, that includes our social media, that includes our email communication, text communication, our board, our current ambassadors that are already sponsors or maybe table sponsors. So, and really be thoughtful about, what are we saying, when are we saying it, who are we saying it to? Because there's no way, with everything else going on, that we could implement something like this so quickly without really thinking it through. And that's where, if you're a small nonprofit and you don't have the staff capacity to do it yourself, hire somebody, spend the money, because you may be saving on catering or location, but hire your special events manager, hire your professional experienced auctioneer, strategic planner to help write that content for you, because it's going to make it achievable and less fearsome when you have somebody with some wisdom and expertise. Just like, we're going to sit down, we're going to grab coffee, we're going to dive into this and get it done.
Nice. Excellent. Those are great. Yeah. Snaps for that. Awesome.
Yeah.
So now, McKenzie, are you having a true event, or is it just to, like, we're all going to hang out? I mean, are you live streaming? Tell us what that looks like.
I don't know. Yeah. So I don't think live streaming. However, maybe in the future, we are going to do a April 1st through the 4th. So it'll be a 4-day event. So we're going to communicate everything from, share this on your social media. Here's some social media handles to say, I stand with Cancer Support Community. I support Cancer Support Community Arizona, to, dripping the auction items and having photos of them. And that all leads up to this April 4th timeframe. So it'll be 4-day kind of media blitz on where we're updating of what we're raising, what our goals are, what we have, just being really, really clear about that. But again, we've already had people, we've used the word night, NIGHT, in our previous gala name. And we have to take that out now, because people are like, I don't want to hang around on my computer on a Saturday night. And we're like, no, that's not the situation. But this is so new. This is more than going to a website and giving a donation. This is more than texting a gift when you're at an event. This is, you have to follow an event over multiple days and communicate it. And so we're going to be interested to see how it responds too.
Excellent. Okay, that is actually a new style of virtual event that I've heard of. So having a multi-day event, like, here, we're going to start on the 1st, we're going to end it on the 4th. Are you doing anything to say, to kind of shoot off the fireworks at that? Like, okay, yay, we've done it, we've hit the goal, auctions are closed, everything's amazing. Like, have you kind of identified what that celebration point is?
So, our goal is the 60,000. So once we reach that, we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop. So, auction items are open to the highest bidder. And I think that's what, and I think, if people need not to be scared of asking your partners. People follow you on social media. They're in your database for a reason. They connect with your mission and they get it. So don't be scared to say, I need your help. We need your help. We need to get this goal. Can you share this on your social media? Can you forward this email to somebody you care about or feel like, connects with or has the capacity to give a gift? Just put as much out there as possible and be honest and transparent. I think people will be really surprised at, who gives and who doesn't give. The Pat Tillman run here in Arizona, they actually just switched their annual run, which is huge, to a virtual running experience. And I thought at the end of their release they put out, they said, you still get a medal, you still get a t-shirt, which is really smart because it continues the energy and the excitement of the Pat Tillman connection, right? Like, I want to share with my community that I have a t-shirt and that I'm supporting. So, think about that. Invest in some type of swag or marketing collateral that you can give to people, or they make a gift, give them something to share on their social media.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Wow. Okay. Wow. That's so many ideas. I love this. We get this group think going. So many great ideas. All right. So Jarrett, now, ideas, you're like the board expert. How can we give the nonprofits a couple ideas of engaging a board that's just as scared as everybody else that's in this world? How can we empower them, or how can we activate them to be the best kind of ambassadors of the nonprofit to spread the word and invite individuals within to this into this virtual event?
I wish I had an algorithm for this, right? Because now also board members are often top executives of hospitals, and they are also making business decisions for where they work and what they do, let alone their own families. But what I want to really focus on is the importance of the annual campaign. your annual giving campaign, because I am a true believer that the event is wonderful. And a lot of small nonprofits have this misconception that once the event's over, you're done.
Right.
And I want, yeah, they're like, whoo, I'm ready for vacation. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Yeah, this is just beginning. Now that you wrapped up your event, all the post-event really is that stewardship, the cultivation. It's how you engage your constituents throughout the remainder of the days, right? And so that is really critical. I always coach and say, you don't want to have more than 30% of your operating budget focused on grants, right? So no more than 30%. You should have 75% of your operating budget coming from individuals. And that could be from events, right? Like that could be given from an individual at an event. But it's how you steward and cultivate and communicate with these donors throughout the entire year that keeps them coming back to your event year after year after year and growing that opportunity, right? And I'm sure, and I know because I receive information from Cancer Support Arizona, and they've been a client of mine, a wonderful client of mine when it comes to board retreats, you know, but you have to stay on your communication year round. So David, the fact that you had mentioned, you know, some of these nonprofits or even for-profit businesses, if they haven't engaged in their communication, social media, and that marketing, the silver lining is now they're forced to do that. But I really want to coach my clients to create a full 12-month annual campaign, which includes that board involvement and the board activation, because your board is multiple of you, ambassadors, community champions, that should be sharing what your nonprofit needs critically at this moment with their networks. And that could be on the phone. They could be helping to call some top donors right now. I hope that every agency has an angel, a blank check donor, which is really that angel donor that you could call and say, hey, Sally, here's what we're going through. Would you be able to give us, you know, a gift of $25,000? This will offset our operating costs for the next 2 months during these uncertain times. But without proper cultivation and stewardship, you will never have a blank check donor.
Right. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Now, David, I want to throw it to you. How do we put the fun in fundraising? How do we put the fun in the virtual event fundraising world? Like how could we, I mean, any ideas that you have to create, you know, like McKenzie said, that experience, but how could we create that?
Nothing like being put on the spot. No, I love that. The fun in fundraising is like a big thing. I think that's still being developed. Like McKenzie said, it was, you know, it's a new piece. It's a big piece, but I think you can do it. And I really think it's through the communication is to remember, you know your demographic. It could be huge, or you could have like sections of different demographics, and you need to make sure that your communication is geared towards those. And make sure you keep it positive, which I think some people kind of communicate that as like they don't really understand, because the rule in some of like the nonprofit, like the events, like you got to you know, the tearjerker moment to get them to donate that money. But for this, you want to make sure it's easy and clear, and you can still have this is what you're doing. You're helping us be able to serve this part of the community and keep that positive note, because that keeps it more fun, if you want to keep that fun word in there. And again, it's really, you know, visuals and things like that of what you're doing for like experience. I love what McKenzie's trying to do, because it's what we were just talking about with one of my clients of, you know, it's not just one night, it's not just one event, it's like multiple, and you can do that, and you can have, you know, you can have like a travel day, or you can have like, you know, a spa or whatever day for different donations or things you're like auctioning off and stuff like that. And that gets people excited, like, ooh, you know what, I'm going to sign in for like this day because I like this, or I like wine. So like when they have like, you know, the different wine pieces, and maybe try and keep that in there, because you're going to hit different demographics. So
I love that idea.
Yeah, I think that it's I love this conversation. The events, it's doing virtual. You know, I picture like an ideal world is where people can sit down at some point when they sign in and they see some great things happening, they see some, like, you've got, like, the old muscular dystrophy telethon that some of us grew up watching, where they had that number, it kept going and going and going. You'd watch it as a kid, someone come on and sing, and right, exactly. I kind of harp back to that when I'm talking to, like, the clients right now, like, can we do that? Because that was all done over the phone. Everybody watched, everybody, like, somebody came out and sang, and you donated over the phone. And so can we tweak that now to where maybe you don't have, Bobby singing, doing a little tap show possibly, but it could work. There's different entertainment that you can have. Maybe somebody said there's a lot of Broadway musicals that are actually streaming the shows online. And so one of them said, like, let's go ahead and, we'll put that on there so somebody can actually gather around the TV and watch the Broadway show for a night. And we're going to send over, like, some food and drinks, and trying to create something fun that you can do, not just like, here's some tickets to this portion of it. So trying to bring that fun into it is big. And it's kind of cool, because when the events do come back, we'll be able to use some of this at the events to help grow, like, the different pieces and stuff. So we're excited.
And I love that. And that's what I have been seeing and been encouraging nonprofits to create more of an experience, produce that event instead of just the rubber chicken dinner, tug out the heartstrings, give us your money, okay, goodbye. But it's actually creating that full, experience within that. I want to tap on that kind of, let's say we are doing a live stream, or we're having an event on one night, and engaging the local, I guess, the local community, the local, small business owners, and how can we get them involved, or local, or vendors involved within, maybe it is 4 days, or maybe it's, one night, but like, what are some ideas? And we can kind of just rapid fire through this. But I'll start with you, David, of what we could do to, again, bring this community together stronger.
A lot of people know, like, if you're doing something with social media and your marketing campaigns, and I'm sure both ladies can say this, it's all visual now. So it's Instagram and some of the other ones that I'm too old to understand, but also a lot on YouTube and stuff. A lot of people have videos. And so we're trying to incorporate those. Like, if you've got a vendor who's donating something and they've got this really quirky video that they had on YouTube, you wouldn't normally play it at your, like, big gala, but now is a time to kind of pull that over and be like, why not use it? Like, some of them are really fun. It explains what they're trying to do or the product that you're having. And to send that over is actually kind of like a good thing. So we're trying to pull that in. And if not, people have a lot of visuals as well, where you can pull up and use pictures and things like that. But there's a lot more videos out there for products and stuff than people, like, realize. We have a caterer who, the chef, every once in a while does these little, like, quick little things when he's preparing food and stuff like that. And I love when I pitch them for different events, I pull one of those videos off of YouTube and I play it during the pitch, or they play it when they're actually selling tickets for things like that, and people love it.
I love that. Great stuff. Jarrett, what about you? What are some ways that you can think we can incorporate the community or vendors or whatnot to around this virtual event?
I love whether it's city council is airing their live city council meetings, right? And you can watch it from home, whether it's the ball drop for New York for New Year's, right? Whether it's, I'm a big outdoor fan, so whether it's watching Survivor and you see the final show and who's the winner, right? And this, like, imagine having house parties, and whether it's groups of 50 or less or 10 or less, and you have these live streams, and it's, here's the video where you go, you could do Zoom, you could have all these different areas. You could have, this party is catered by a local restaurant here in your home. And that really diversifies your revenue. So instead of having one event space and you can only use their vendors, right? You can really bring in and also just activate your community beyond your normal geographic scope, right? So I think something like that would be really cool to do. I think, McKenzie also mentioned hire a professional, that this is what they do. Bobby, you've got experience doing virtual. I have experience doing virtual. I mean, working in, with nonprofits nationwide. I just did a nonprofit nerd out strategy call with a client in Peru. So a lot of people are accustomed to having this kind of platform. So why not bring it into the small groups and incorporate more people?
Nice. I love that. Great.
Yeah.
McKenzie, what about you? Or how are you implementing your local community, your local vendors, your local small businesses?
You know, I love the idea of what you said about, you guys, all of you were talking about these like cute little like kitschy videos. I mean, reach out to your funders and say like, will you do a quick like selfie photo with our t-shirt on, or a quick video? You can go to websites like Canva or PicMonkey. They're free platforms. Yeah. Hi.
Instagram.
You know, throw it up there. And so that at the same time you're saying, hey funder, I need your help. And then they're going to step in something that's really easy. And then if there's any time when you're going to invest in your communication, I know so many nonprofits, that's like a tertiary thing. Like that's not a responsibility of what they do. This is the time. Like this is the time for you to open up your minds and have your board invest and your staff invest, hire somebody, create a communication strategy so they can work on that and you can get on the phone and call your funders. As long as you're doing those things in tandem, I think your community, if anything, your brand awareness and the sophistication of your organization will have really high visibility, you know, high impact, high visibility, and then hopefully high rewards. You're talking to your funders, you're like, we got this. We invested this much money in a professional, and like, we need you, we got this. We just need to all like hunker down and get this, because our you know, members, participants, you know, whoever it is that you're serving your mission, like they're waiting on us, especially now more than ever.
Wow. Oh, great stuff. Great. That's amazing. So here to kind of wrap up real quick, I really just thank you all for being a part of this and helping us, you know, kind of ease that stress that now is here within the new normal. And hopefully we've given everybody that's watching some now what, you know, tips that are going with this. Real quick, we'll start with McKenzie. Just give us, you know, one like little like lift me up, or one little tip, or one little you got this kind of thing for everybody out there.
We got this, you guys. We are professionals. And we are in a community that supports each other. We're human responders. Just this is the time, if you want to open up your arms and your minds, like take advantage of it.
Nice. Jarrett.
Yeah, reach out for help. David mentioned it too. This is what we are. This is what we do. You know, we want to walk you through this. So however we can best help you, reach out. And, you know, it could be an event planner. It could be a colleague of yours in another nonprofit. I'm happy to be a resource to you as well. So ask for help and get some resources.
Nice. David.
We're going to make it through this. It always seems a little bit tougher in the beginning, but with all of these wonderful ideas and wonderful people who are there to help, nonprofits are definitely going to make it through this, and we're here to help. So keep your chin up, ask for help, and know that it's going to happen.
That's right. Right. And then it's that connectivity of community is what we're really truly doing here together. And now with this virtual solutions that are out there, we can broaden our scope, broaden our community, and oh, hey there, Dave. And we can, you know, we can make a bigger impact within this and really look beyond what this little kind of dip is going to be within this. And I mean, just go with it. So I want to thank everybody again. I'll make sure I put contact information in the links here, so that if you do want to reach out for some help, you know, pick some brains, get some ideas, you know, work with either one of us, you know, that's all going to be out there. But McKenzie, thank you. Jarrett, thank you. David, thank you. And I want to thank you, the community that's out there in the nonprofit world, whether you're a, you know, nonprofit yourself, a vendor, someone that's helping to provide the support there. What you do matters, and you are, you know, just keep being awesome, and we are changing the world for the better. It's a rapidly changing world, and we're going to do this. So thank you again, Bobby D, Virtual Event Fundraising, and thank you everyone, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Yeah. Hashtag now what?
Bye, everybody.
All right. Thanks everybody.